Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Conservation Board meeting of October 5th, 2021. I'll call our meeting to order, and I'm Jim Almstead, and with us tonight we have Noel Schlageter, we have Roseanne Cohen, Daniel Moore, we also have Jeff Bartocci and Bert Gorton. And we have also with us our town planner, Doug Sangster, and Catherine Dubrec, our junior planner. And we, I think, did I mention everyone or did I leave someone out? Okay, so our first order of business is to approve the minutes, which I know I had a chance to look over. And I'll start with a couple of questions, I guess, regarding the minutes. And if we go to page 2 of the minutes, we were talking about Arbors at Penfield mixed-use development, and Bert will be reporting on this tonight. But the first item under Arbors at Penfield talked about this being at the northwest corner of Atlantic and Route 250. And on the west side of Route 250, but I thought we also agreed that there would be some development on the east side. Am I correct on that, or do I misremember it?
Future. There is, but it's a future. I believe it's going to be phase either 4 or 5. So at this point, we're looking phase 1. I mean, we're looking overall, but phase 1, what is before the planning board this coming Thursday, is phase 1, and that is located on the northwest corner of.
But eventually, there will be an eastern part to this. East of 250?
That's correct, yep.
Okay, because when it says, Jim asked if this will be located next to Clark Animal Care, I think during that part of the discussion, I was referring to the eastern development that would be future. And then when you say, if the large barn there will be coming down, I think I referred to the big house on the west side of 250 as a large barn of a house. It was a colloquial expression. It's not a barn, it's a big house. It's been empty for some time and in a state of deterioration. We talked about the fact that the fire department will probably make use of that. So the barn has to be taken out, I think, and just make it a large house across from Clark Animal Care. And then down in item 7 under Arbors, where it says, Doug stated that there may need to be road updates to Route 250 and that off-sewer improvements are part of the project. What does that mean? I don't recall that part of the discussion.
I think it was just a typo. It was supposed to be off-site sewer improvements. Off-site,
okay. Sewer improvements, okay. All right, so we'll make those corrections. Those are all the corrections I had flagged. Anyone else find anything they'd like corrected? And if not, motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
And no objections. Thank you very much, Catherine and Doug, for the minutes. Do we have any communications?
Yes, just one thing quick. Just a reminder from last meeting, Doug shared some information on the upcoming New York State Association of Conservation Committees conference. It's free. It's just an optional training opportunity if interested. It's the 21st through the 24th of October, so it's in a couple weeks, and it looked like they had some interesting sessions related to land and water, food waste. There was some urban tree canopy talks that looked interesting, so just if you're interested, it's out there and it's free. And there's also membership if everyone was interested. We're not a member of this association, but Monroe County EMC is. It's $75 a year, and there is room in the budget if folks are interested, but not required.
That would require each individual who wanted to be a member to,
No, it would be our board.
it would be the
overall.
board?
Yes.
To join the New York State Association of Conservation Commissions. It's a nonprofit that was set up by the DEC to provide training and regional coordination for the various town and village, county conservation commissions and conservation boards.
Well, our budget exists largely for training purposes, and we haven't used much of anything this year, so I think that seems like a good use of our money.
Okay.
Does,
Would agree.
does everyone agree?
I would agree.
Well, then let's do that.
Okay. We'll have to bring it, we'll make a recommendation. I'll bring it to the town board. Ultimately, we'll have to go through town board resolution, but I'll make sure we get it on the agenda
Okay.
for the town board.
Thank you.
Anything else? Any public participation tonight? I guess we don't have anyone here. So we're ready, I guess, for a report from Paul and Bert, which will be delivered by Bert alone.
Yeah, so Paul and I went out and took a look at it last week, and my report really is based upon the whole phase project, if you will. You know, we'll probably want to take a look at more specific detail as the phases come in, but I'll start with observations and then go to document review. It was a very extensive set of documents provided. Compliments to the developer. I thought they did a very good job and very comprehensive, and I know the mixed use prompts a lot from the planning board as far as stuff they have to provide and improve. But so the site walk, again, I think everybody's familiar with that spot. As you're heading north on 250, you cross Atlantic cross over Atlantic, and it's all that property on the west side, so the left of you heading north on 250, all the way up to Penfield Center Road. There is a house on the corner of Penfield Center Road and 250 that is not in scope of this project. So the project kind of goes around that, and then everything south to Atlantic, and then across the street, again, from a housing property just south of Penfield Center Road down to Clark Animal Hospital. So again, all my years in Penfield, I remember stopping at the little food mart stand there for years and stuff, and it's really just all open meadowland on both sides. Paul and I walked back a little bit, so there's really no significant features, e-pods of any type. The land is pretty much open meadow. Some of it is currently being farmed. Nothing on the west side of 250, but on the east side of 250 that's being farmed with corn currently and stuff. So pretty flat. I know we had kind of talked there'll be some drop off, but I think those will be some things we consider as the other phases come in. But from a broad perspective, Paul and I really didn't see any issues. Now to the document review, because I think that was important, and especially the environmental assessment form, and I included a lot of that detail in the report. I don't think we need to go line by line, but I think what really jumped out at me with what they presented was, total acreage of roughly 99 acres. They're going to disturb 57 of it. And then they break down, okay, what will that disturbance be? And I think a couple of key points is that, they're actually increasing meadowland. So they have an extensive landscaping plan really all the phases as they go. So it becomes very, very clear that, a lot of the concepts that we hold near and dear to our heart, they are appear to be incorporating in the design, at least with the information I saw. They have a number of stormwater management facilities that will go in, ponds and that will go in across the property as the phases continue to develop. Sanitary sewers are going to be provided, as we spoke a minute ago. And again, the landscape plan is probably one of the best I've seen for a development. So as you step back, and I know Doug reviewed for us a little bit kind of the concepts that they're employing in that mixed-use development with residential and some business and all of that. For Paul and I, we both agreed that it seems like a very good fit for that segment of land, for that site, and is consistent with, pretty much how that corridor is being developed. So the bottom line for us is that we had no concerns with this moving forward, and I know phase one is such a small piece of this, but that's why I was concerned, and Paul, we agreed, we wanted to look at the big picture to say, okay, thinking about where this will end up at some year or years in the future, how does that seem to play in? And I thought, again, they did a very good job. I mean, that a third of this package is strictly architectural renderings of a lot of the buildings that they're doing. So they're doing a nice job. Like I say, extensive landscaping plan was in place, utility plans and those. So bottom line is that it played out the way I thought it was going to with what I know of that property. My years here in Penfield, and we both felt didn't have any problems. I think it's going to be a good use for that land.
I have a question. Wasn't there a gas station on the corner there?
Yes, but that has been remediated, correct, Doug?
Correct.
But that is not part of, they referenced that it was there, and thank you, that reminds me, there is one other point I want to make, but that's not part of this project. That doesn't include that little segment of land. But then, Roseanne, thank you. That does remind me. The only other thing that I noted, and we as a group on a couple of site walks in the past, especially some of the very old farmland, have noted this. I noted it in the report. There's an old orchard back behind the structure that was the farm stand. A lot of those old apple trees, they're still alive, just barely type of thing. But oftentimes, depending upon the age of some of those orchards, and you go back to past pest management practices, some of those were arsenic-based. And we leave it, we're not making a judgment on that. We just wanted to bring it to the planning board. You folks may have already considered it, talked about it, and we kind of looked for your jurisdiction as to how you proceed on that. But Jim, if you recall, I know about 12, 13 years ago, we had one property that had an old orchard where I think it actually ended up being some issues they had to deal with. So we just wanted to bring that as attention. Outside of that, all the rest of it was pretty straightforward. Not a lot of trees, and they don't go back to as you're driving north on 250, similar to what we saw behind the Y, behind that other development going in just north of the Y, there's that big tree line, but the development doesn't go back to it. So there's just a few trees in the pocket where that house currently exists on the corner of 250 and Penfield Center Road, but it doesn't look like they're going to disturb much of it, and most of it's secondary growth type trees anyways. There's no majestic maples or anything like that on it. So that was pretty much it. Again, a very extensive package. I thought the developer did a very good job of providing a lot of information.
Who's the engineering firm?
I think there's a couple of them. I know there was some stuff from Costage.
The engineering's being done by Costitch, architectural and landscaping's being done by SWBR.
There, thank you. I knew it was one of the biggies.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Anyone have any other questions for Bert? Yeah, Noel?
Yes, it talks about surface water features are 0, but they're apparently going to put a pond in, is that correct?
Oh, there's a number of ponds going in. Yeah, that's what you'll see. I mean,
5.17 acres?
Yeah, in the total of the 56 acres that's being disturbed, what's the number for for surface area.
Yeah, 56.7.
Yeah, so you'll have 5 acres of, almost 10% of it will be stormwater control. The plans, there are a number of quite large ponds, kind of, as the phases come into play, you kind of develop a stormwater management for the next phase and the next phase, so.
But the purpose is what? To collect surface runoff from the impervious?
Yeah, stormwater. Yeah, because you'll note there's quite a bit of impervious surface, and there was a number of different proposals I think they're using for some impervious surfaces and that, so, so I think that's where the stormwater management systems are important.
Any other observations? Bert and Paul, thank you very much. Nice report.
Thank you.
Trails discussion, what do we have there?
So Ed really wanted to join us at our last meeting, but because of technical difficulties was not able to join us during the meeting. So after the meeting on Wednesday, I spent about an hour on the phone with him, going over some various concerns from himself and the Trails Committee, speaking on behalf of the Trails Committee. So there was a few things he would like to bring up. If you guys are okay with that, I can run through sort of the highlights of what we discussed.
Sure.
So most of these were related to the potential for trails in the future in various areas of Penfield. The first one he'd like to see the Conservation Board weigh in on is there is an existing trail system that runs north from Channing Philbrick Park up and around the Home Depot and the Tops Plaza and Panorama Plaza. There's a small pocket park that the town has, Panorama Valley Park behind Tops, and an informal trail that runs north towards Penfield Road. It's one of the Trails Committee goals that a trail be developed going underneath the bridge there at Penfield Road, towards Old Penfield Road. That would lead up to the sidewalks there, since sidewalks will be continuing up along Penfield Road. They could connect into Ellison Park.
Did he have any thoughts as to who would be paying for that?
I believe it was on the town. It would be the recommendation. There is a section of town and county-owned property that runs between Ellison Heights, the creek, and the RG&E substation. That's there right at the intersection. So it would be an easement over town, or either town or county property. I believe that piece of property is owned by the town. So it would be an easement over the town, and whether the Trails Committee does the work or it's an Eagle Scout project in the future.
I think we look for opportunities to ask developers as they develop properties to include provision for trails.
Their figures.
But I guess other than that, we need to find the money within the town budget to tackle a project like this when development is essentially done. So I'm not sure where we're going to go with that.
I don't know where we would go with that. I just wanted to bring it. This was, unfortunately, Ed could not be here, so these are just areas of concerns he had,
Yeah.
and I wanted to make sure I brought them up to you guys since in his absence.
That triangular wedge, Shoecraft over to the new fire station at the corner of Plank and State. That triangular wedge, which is apparently going to be developed, that has a lot of trees in there, and a lot of homes have been established both on Plank Road and State Road and on Shoecraft. But there's a big space
Yes.
in there.
Yep, it's 1345 Shoecraft Road.
Yeah, and that's apparently going to be developed. Do you have more information on that than what we had last time?
Not at this time. I know the person interested in developing that property will be approaching the town board at some point in the future, or has intention to approach the town board regarding rezoning the property. Most of those homes, when they were developed around there, the town was zoned predominantly half acre, so most of those existing lots on Plank, Shoecraft, and State are half acre lots. Back in the rezoning that was done in 1981, it was rezoned from half acre to 1 acre, largely due to the lack of sanitary sewers at the time in the area. Sanitary sewers are available, so the developer is looking to petition the town board to have it rezoned back to half acre, and then would do most likely a townhouse type development, similar to one that this particular developer's already done elsewhere in Penfield.
It's going to be funny.
Yeah, there, you're showing it on the screen, yeah.
The access road.
Any way we can get rid of that, yeah, there we go. Thanks. So how many acres is that, do you know?
I believe it's 17.
14.2. Close.
Okay. So we'll be hearing more about this in the near future?
Potentially, yeah.
Okay. I did notice that back to the Arbors at Penfield project, that you have a guest coming to the PRC tomorrow at 10 o'clock?
That is correct, yep. It'll be the developer and their engineers.
I'm not able to make that PRC meeting. Is there anybody here that might be able to?
What would we looking to do?
Just interested because, you know, Bert gave a pretty nice, complete report, I thought, and might be interesting to hear from the actual engineer or developer more detail.
Okay, what time is that?
10 o'clock?
10 a.m.
Oh, I'm at work.
Okay. So we don't have anybody available, I guess. Okay. All right. I wish I could be there, but I can't. And so I guess other than the trails discussion, we were going to go over some ongoing projects. And what do you have for us there?
Sure. So same projects as last month. Everything's still in the works. Simply Crepes is kind of on pause for now.
On pause there with the,
Yes.
because I've been waiting for my crepes.
Yes.
Too bad.
So have I.
I happen to like those. Yeah.
There was a disagreement between the owners, so they've kind of like, there hasn't been
Okay.
work done in a month, but hopefully soon it'll be finished up.
Well, if they're listening tonight, I like mine with lingonberries. Yeah, lingonberries are great on crepes.
I'll have to try that. There's also on 3090 Atlantic, there's a 5-lot subdivision. There's an existing house on the corner. They're just looking to merge 2 of the lots into 1. So it would be 4 lots instead of 5, so that's more of an admin item. There's also some planning board items that will be up on the 14th for the planning board meeting. There's Empire Storage, that's an action item, so they're just looking to shift one of their buildings from one direction to the other. Nothing crazy there. There's also the Sweets Wingate subdivision. They're looking to remove some acreage from one of the lots and put it in the other, so that's another action item, nothing too crazy. And we did receive some info on 2409 Penfield Road. That's another admin item, so they're just looking to build a single-family home on an existing lot. And other than that, it's just working on things like Burger King on 250 and Chipotle on Empire and everything else that's underway.
Okay, thank you, Catherine.
Welcome.
Anyone have any questions on what's going on around town?
I had asked him before about, there's on Penfield Road, right near Watson Road, they've taken down all these trees, so I was just wondering what was going on, but it's pending, right?
Yeah, we have not received an application on that, but as a property owner outside of an EPODs, they are allowed to clear trees on their property.
It looks different.
It's an interesting conundrum, isn't it, when we get a lot of clearing of trees and no application has been made.
We did meet with the owner of the property. It was not our recommendation. In fact, we advised them against clearing the property, especially with the understanding that they were potentially coming back to do development and would be approaching the planning board and potentially the zoning board for approvals. Landscaping and buffering to the neighbors is often a concern of the planning board, and if you have cleared to your property lines, it generally means you'll be planting trees. So it was our recommendation that they left a 20 to 40 foot buffer between them and the neighbors. I did not get out with a tape measure, but I have driven past it the last few days, and I don't believe they left that much of a buffer to the neighbors, but that will be potentially coming in the future for a 4-lot single-family residential subdivision.
Yeah, that's,
2.48 acres.
Where's this at again?
2305 Penfield Road. If you're heading east on Penfield Road, it's just past Watson. On the right-hand side, you'll see the group homes. That's right there, pretty close to the road. It's the property directly next to it. Was currently a vacant lot. Mostly scrub brush, but there were a few substantial trees on the property. It appeared that there might have been, based on the logs.
okay. Anything else anyone would like to bring up?
We do have one more item for you guys that didn't make it onto the agenda.
Okay.
Yes. Just wanted to get your thoughts on the 2022 schedule. That was a handout. It's all the first Tuesdays for next year. So you can just mull it over, and if there's any conflicts, just let us
So are we
know.
going back to 7 o'clock, or is that a mistype?
So that's another question for you all, if you want to stick with the normal 7 p.m. or continue with 7:30 next year.
How are things shaping up for you there, Daniel?
So all of my classes, tentatively, with COVID and all, should be relatively in the morning and afternoon. So until that's finalized, I'm not entirely sure. But I also, for the July and August, I'm not sure when or if summer camp is going to be happening next year and if I'm going to be away for that. And I just was elected to be part of the Model UN course at MCC, and there's a week sometime in the next semester during winter months. I'm not sure if it's like the first week that I'm going to be in New York City for the entire week. So if it runs in conflict, I'll be sure to let you guys know.
All right, thank you.
But you don't foresee anything that goes through the whole year that's going to be an issue?
Nothing for the full year.
So tentatively back to 7 o'clock?
Yeah, we'll leave it tentative 7 o'clock.
Does that work better for town staff? if we stick with 7?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay.
I know I prefer 7. I mean, 7:30 is not bad, but just as a general rule,
Okay.
I'd rather meet, especially once you get into the summer months.
And I didn't see any issues with the dates, just in a quick scan here.
Yeah, I'm pretty consistent with avoiding July 4th and Labor Day, so looks good to me.
Yeah, I thought I grabbed one of those printouts, but I didn't. But yes, I did try to keep it similar to this past year, so.
Yeah, that's pretty much,
yep.
that's pretty much what we've adopted now these last few years, is to stay away
Avoid
from the
that.
Labor Day and July 4th, and then everything else pretty much falls in line.
So if I hear no objection, we'll say we've approved our plan for the 2022 meeting schedule. Okay, thanks.
Second.
Thanks very much. Are we at the point where we want to be adjourning, or does someone have something else they'd like to bring before the board?
I have one more question, just out of curiosity, because I was there a couple weeks ago. The trail in Channing-Philbrook Park, I think you guys were even talking about it, that goes along the creek. I want to say it's going east. It comes to a stop. Wasn't there talk at some point of the next town connecting those connecting two trails, or connecting another trail up there? Because I think it stops in Penfield, doesn't it?
If it's where I'm thinking of, yeah, at the very southeast corner, 5 Mile Line Road and Linden Avenue. Right around the intersection of 5 Mile and Linden, there is a disconnect between Channing-Philbrook and, I'm forgetting the name of the park in Parrington, Spring Valley Park. At this point, down this way, so there's, Spring Lake Park. So there's no way to get between Spring Lake Park and Channing-Philbrook, and that has been a long request of our conservation, or our Trails Committee, was some way to link. That way you could get basically from one municipality, go from Pittsford or Parrington through Channing-Philbrook, up through Ellison, and up through Lucian Moran Park, and you could get all the way from the bay to Parrington. There are some significant grade issues in that area, because that is a very deep valley. So I don't know anything about that. There was one talk about coming up through where there used to be a trail that went on the apartment property. The Penfield Village Apartments. I don't know where they're at with that. I know there were some issues in the past, and connecting the trail there. It does go up to Mott's Lane, and there's an entrance off of Mott's Lane to, I believe it's a Honey Creek Trail, and then that does run up towards, to the northwest to Home Depot, and then beyond.
So you've been doing some trail walking, huh?
Trying to lose some weight. This freaking COVID killed me.
Yeah, no. Those of you that have the energy and the youth to expend on the trails, it's a wonderful activity. So anyway, I think we're nearing the point of adjournment. Does anyone want to make a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and I do believe we're adjourned.